I'm B, this is Tom, and welcome to tonight's episode of Low Expectations, where tonight I can guarantee, because we may or may not have sipped some already, the beer is fantastic, but you know...
We will not be.
Nope,
Keep your expectations low,
we are
folks.
terrible. We're horrible. We barely know what we're doing. But we're super excited to be at C Brewing in Norristown tonight with some of our special friends. And guys, I'm going to let you introduce yourselves.
Zach.
I'm Jay. I'm Rick.
And if you're sitting back thinking to yourselves, they kind of all look sort of alike, there's a reason for that. Yeah, we were talking earlier, and one of the cool things about this particular brewery is these guys are all related. So somebody want to break the genealogy down for us, guys?
So basically we're all brothers. There's three brothers who started the brewery. Myself, Rick, Eric, who's not here at the moment. Our assistant brewer happens to be Ricker's son.
Next generation.
Next generation.
So we're sixth generation, but I guess now we're really seventh generation.
I mean, Zach said it's got to go on the official letterhead now.
I work here.
7 generations.
Yeah.
Right?
But what do you mean 7 generations? What are you talking about?
Well, I think they need to walk us back for a second before we even dive into the beer. One of the coolest parts. Talk to us about the history here, guys.
So we go back to 1860. We are sixth generation direct descendants of Christian Schmidt. 7 now with our sons.
You count.
My
You're
son,
important.
7. Christian Schmidt came over from Germany in 1860 and started the Christian Schmidt Brewery in Philadelphia. And we had our grandfather, our 2 uncles, myself, all worked at Schmidt's. We also had our father worked at Schmidt's. Our granddad was the president from the probably 50s to 70s. We have history here in Norristown. We own the brewery right over here on Markley Street, which was the Adam Scheit Brewery, came in Valley Forge. Schmidt's owned that from the 50s to the 70s. And then we also have the last brewmaster at Schmidt's on our team.
Nice.
And he is the one who did the OG Pills, which is our family Schmidt's recipe. He worked with our brewing team to come up with that. And you know he'll tell you he nailed it, and I think that we all agree.
I enjoyed it.
Yeah, as soon as you taste it, you're like, wow, that's absolutely Schmidt's.
So that's the history. We if you go on our website, and Jay coined the phrase, "Hey, it's in our blood," and it really is in our blood. And we probably waited a little longer to do this because I just turned 60, and Jay's in his 50s, and Eric's 56. So we're a little older, but we all had our careers and waited to put this together and say, okay, we're ready to do this now.
So from 1860, when did, because Schmidt's folded shop at some point, when did they fold shop, and how long ago was that till when did you rebrand and move on?
So unfortunately the brewery in Philadelphia closed in 1987.
87.
It got bought by Heilemann Brewing, who brewed it for about another 3 or 4 years. And then they went under and it got bought by Pabst. Pabst has never brewed Schmidt's, as in the original recipe of Schmidt's of Philadelphia. They had Schmidt was in St. Paul, Minnesota, and thought they could join the two together and make a smaller or bigger regional.
Yep.
So the real last brewing of the original recipe was back in the late 80s.
So almost 130-year run, 1860 to almost 1990. Yep. And then like a 25-year hiatus, and now you brought it back. And I love the homage to the original OG Pills that's right back on the menu. And if you guys haven't been here yet, like I'm counting. What do we got? Like 20 some taps?
Yeah, usually about 18 to 20 different beers on tap, depending on when you're here. And a good portion of those, usually 4 or 5, maybe sometimes 6, are lagers, which we're super proud of.
I have to. 2 of my favorite signs.
Yes.
I collect a lot of beer signs. And,
he has a problem.
Yeah. On my porch up at the lake, it's covered in signs. And my 2 favorite signs are Schmidt signs. Yeah, cool. And one is red and one is green, like the lights on the boat. So I found one, and then I was on this massive journey to find the other one. So now I have both, one for each side.
You obsessed on a Schmidt sign, did you?
2.
Shocking.
Well, and it's red right return, so at least he knows how to get back onto the porch.
There you go.
I think I left them on. They're probably still burning. So when I get home.
So, what are you sipping on right now, Tom? Do you know?
I am drinking the NFA Lager.
Which
Czech
is
lager.
brand new, right?
Brand new, just kicked off today.
Just came out today.
Yeah. It is our first time doing it on our big system. We have 2 systems here, one being our R&D 2-barrel and then our larger 20-barrel brew house. And we've done a couple renditions of this one on our small system, and they've been a big hit. So this is our first scaled up one. People were really loving the small system one. We think we nailed it on the big system, so we're excited for people to try it.
It's really good.
I think when I remember when we had it on the small system, I think I wrote it up there on a Friday, and I think I crossed it off on a Saturday. That's how fast the small batch went. So we knew we had to make a big batch of it.
Yeah, super full of flavor. And I know these are contrasting descriptions, but it's smooth and crispy at the same time. Like, it really is just, I'm enjoying it. It's really nice.
Yeah, our head brewer Mike did a great job. It uses a heavy, old school floor malted barley in that. We are using the same yeast as Pilsner Urquell. A little bit of Saaz hops mixed in there, and all of that just comes together to make a really nice flavor. And as he described, great mouthfeel as well.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Yeah, your guys' traditional lager, Pilsner, ale game is like top notch. As I'm advancing in years, Tom, I'm slowly shifting away. Like, I still enjoy my hazies, but like, especially when it's hot out, I can't drink them. Like, I am drinking the light, crispy stuff. So I'm completely geeking out on this Grisette that you guys have on tap right now. I mean, it is just so delicate and light, and there's like a little hop kiss in there towards the end. What's going on in here?
Grisette was a beer that was brewed for the miners in Belgium, and is more of a nutritional thing for them. That's why the alcohol is very low. It's also a style that brewers like because it's a style that is not very confined. It's a wide open style, so it can be lighter, it can be darker, it can be hoppier. And it was almost lost, so it's a cool style for the brewers to bring back.
I just love when a brewery has a Grisette on the menu because it's like, I know it's going to be flavorful, and I'm getting a lot of flavor from our like 4.5%.
Yep.
So, and this is great. This is
Very
great.
lemony too. It's got some
Yep.
lemon characteristics. The one thing when that came out, I remember reading some of our people out there posting about our beers, and they said, a Grisette? Who does that? Aside from Sly Fox, who does it all the time, but but they're like, no one does a Grisette anymore. And he goes, leave it to Von C, because every beer they've had have been awesome, and now they're doing a Grisette. So
Yeah, just like that entire like that portfolio is not the. I'm going to call it that lane, like mild table beers, Grisettes. When it's 95 degrees out, that's what I'm craving. What are you drinking?
I'm drinking the NFA, the Czech Pils or Czech Lager as well.
Vienna Lager, one of my favorites.
Ah, yeah.
Vienna
We're gonna
Lager
taste
is a
that
great
later.
one for us.
And I'm drinking the West Coast IPA, the That Much Further West.
Which seems to be kind of making a comeback. Like the West Coast is starting to. More and more people are seeking it out. Like,
Well, Zach, coming from the West Coast, just moved over here.
was that in his contract?
Well, he got to work with the head brewer for the first time on our system, because he is our assistant brewer now, and he got to come up with a what's it called? All
the numbers, our
all
West
the
Coast
numbers?
Pale just went in tank yesterday. It'll be out soon. Come and try
West
it.
Coast Pale.
Yeah. So this is our That Much Further West, which is a West Coast IPA, and then our All the Numbers is a West Coast Pales.
Have I had a West Coast Pale?
I can't think of one. That'd be interesting.
I may not even known that was a thing. I can't wait to
sense, no?
try it. No, it does. It's a little bit lighter.
It's a little bit lighter, but there's
Probably
a little bit more of a
bitterness?
bitter kick to it. So resinous, piney, normal things that you're getting, but only at 5.5% instead of 7 and above. So.
Now, you tell me, because I'm not a brewer. I only pretend to be one on TV. There's less wiggle room. Because, like, in a West Coast IPA, you got some of the booziness that can offset some of the bitterness.
Yeah.
On a pale, the margins are tighter, right?
They are, and also this is about as research and development as it gets. We're using a new strain of yeast from Omega. We're using Star Party, which is a genetically modified yeast. So that's going to allow certain flavors and tannins to come through, and that's going to give us a fruity flavor as well as that West Coastness we're looking for. So this is very much, we put it in the tank and we can't wait to see what comes out.
Awesome. Sounds awesome.
We really enjoyed 10-7 had a beer that they brewed with Phantasm powder and the what's it, Omega Punch?
Yeah,
is that the
Cosmic
yeast?
Punch,
Cosmic
and we
sorry,
have a
yeah.
Cosmic Punch as well. So
excellent.
Yeah,
Our
our
Bye Hazy, which is relatively new as well, is made with a Cosmic Punch.
Yeah.
So-
And also, we're looking for Phantasm powder, so if anyone out there has some, let us know. Because we would love to do
10-7.
something. All right.
Apparently, that is exclusive to only a certain amount of breweries that have been using it for the-
When we stopped in at 10-7, they told us they had to buy a whole lot of it.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe
So
get it
they
from them.
probably have a whole lot left over.
All right.
Yeah, talk to Matt.
It's awesome because literally every time, this is like the third or fourth time the Phantasm discussion has come up during a podcast, and it's always kind of like the same thing. It's like, yeah, we can't wait, or yeah, we really can't wait, and it's like, but it's hard to get, and it's kind of super exclusive. So theirs was really good. I tend to not like beers that lean into wine flavor profiles, but I love how those two played together. Were you happy with how yours turned out?
Yeah.
I think it did exactly as it was advertised to do. It really brought out some of those some fruity flavors and some punch.
Yeah, grapefruit is, I think, the first thing that hits your nose and hits your taste buds when you're drinking it, and those are the kind of biggest stone fruit, grapefruit, other fruit flavors that it's going to bring forward, and that was one of the biggest things that Bye and Bye hits, is that fruit nail on the head. So
And By and By, you say no, is another Grateful Dead reference.
You guys want to try?
I always say yes.
Oh, we absolutely
There
should.
you go.
We're back, and we had to pause there for just a second because magically the Bye and Bye has appeared in front of us in tasters. So cheers. Let's try the beers.
cheers.
And I don't even want to sip this because the nose on this is just so happy. It's
Wonderful.
Yeah, I mean, as we said, that yeast really does accentuate exactly what it says it's going to bring out, and it pops.
Yeah.
So single IPA, double IPA,
It's a single.
single.
And then that Cosmic Punch paired with a lot of Citra and Idaho 7 really just brings all that stuff out. And what you're left with is this beautiful beer that, like you said, you almost just, you won't drink it, you'll just smell it forever.
There's a super cool dryness to it
We
too.
just tapped it this weekend, and it was right there, just behind our Walking on Clouds for the big seller for the.
Yeah, well, I'm going to tell you right now, you people out there, get in here before it's gone. The Bye and Bye IPA with the Phantasm is
No, the
just
Cosmic Punch.
and the
With
not
the
the
Cosmic
We
Punch,
didn't
not
get the
Phantasm.
not the Phantasm. That's what you're looking
The
for.
Cosmic
That's
Punch.
the
what we
special.
want.
With the Cosmic Punch and Citra and Idaho 7.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, the mouth feels fantastic
And
as
only
well.
had about 6.3, I think.
So I had a favorite picked earlier that I was going to talk about later, but I got to say it's pretty close.
It just changed.
This one's coming up. This one's really
wobbling a
close
little
up
bit?
there.
You're
Yeah, I'm not
wobbling?
sure which way to go. I'll give both as favorites, but this is definitely
It's tasty.
yeah super.
It is tasty. Nice job.
Thank you.
So we were talking about the history a little bit earlier. You handed me your business card at the beer fest.
I did.
And your last name is not Schmidt.
No, it's not.
What's going on there?
Someone got married somewhere.
And obviously, as it's been said a couple times, this is Von C Brewing
Right,
Company.
right.
And they asked us why Von C, and we really wanted to go with that family name, but our last name is Austrian. Von Chernick spelled with a couple Z's. There's an E in there.
Couple Z's.
Spelled CZOERNIG.
You're never great speller,
And we thought people aren't going to be able to say that, let alone be able to Google us. So
that was
we'll
the
just
main
stick
thing.
to the one letter on there, make it a little more palatable for everybody.
The one good thing is, so Jay, from day one, it was Von C Brewing in Jay's eyes. We tried everything out there. There's over 8,000 breweries in the country, and every name you came up with that you thought was cool was like, you went on Untappd, you Googled it, and some other brewery had it. So we're like, Von C is what it's going to be. And Jay knew that from the start. We tried everything, we tried all sorts of stuff, and we're like, let's go with Von C. And then people asked us to Von C, and as he said, you saw our name on there.
Mm-hmm.
No one will find us on social media if they had to figure out how to look up Von.
I'm not gonna lie, it hurt my brain a little bit trying to figure out how to say it.
Or be able to order after the first beer.
So that's why we said let's just go with Von C. We should have just went with that from the start instead of wasting all this time trying to find a name.
Although if you do want to mess with people, you need to name a beer your last name.
The full spelling.
Yep.
Oh, there you go. That's a good idea.
No, don't do that. It'll
would
be
be-
a terrible idea. Terrible idea.
There'll be no ratings on Untappd.
They could wrap the
No
entire
one's
label.
buying it on tap. We're like, what? No one is drinking this beer.
They're just exhausted after trying
They
to
can't
figure
find
it.
it.
So I've got to know from 87 to, it was last year, right? It's 87 to last year?
2020 actually.
Yeah,
but
okay, 2020. So there
officially
were
2000, June 5th, 2021 is when we officially opened the doors. But we did sign the lease in 2020, 3/3 of 2020, like about 10 days before.
Perfect time to
nobody
sign a
knew
lease.
about that. So,
Yeah, so basically,
What?
I wrote the
Jay
business
can
plan.
tell you this because Jay was the one who had the original, working.
So I wrote the business plan
Business
back
plan.
in 1993. This is one of my senior projects at Northeastern, and we got pretty close in 1994 to open, but kind of life got in the way. Myself and the partner we had at the time, careers started taking off, so we kind of knew we were going to do it. We just didn't know when, and decided now was the time.
And how did you guys end up on this space?
We did an extensive search for buildings. We had actually seen this building a few years, like 5 years ago, before we signed the lease. We liked the building because it's very close to the Adam Schmidt Brewery, which our family ran for a bit.
Plus the beer garden.
The outside beer garden. It's got some cool bones with the open air and the big fans and the beams and stuff hanging down. At the time, it was kind of withering on the vine. It needed a lot of help. So we continued searching for a building.
Plus, they didn't want to sublet. They wanted to do 130,000 square feet. So we have
luckily,
16 here, which is big enough.
So luckily a new group bought the building.
that way?
Both.
That way and that way. And he didn't want to sublet, so then a new owner came on board, and then our realtor called Jay and said, "Hey, it's a new owner. He said it'd be a cool place for a brewery, and he will subdivide." So we're like, "Okay, let's meet with him."
So we gave him a list, and the rest is history.
Because it's a cool space.
Oh yeah.
100%. I love the open floor plan concept. If you guys haven't been down here, it's got that factory industrial type of feel to it.
We like to call it industrial chic.
There you go.
You know, it's industrial, but you still feel a little homey, kind of.
So what you don't know, but right now while we're talking, no one can see us. It's all just B-roll of what this place looks like.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're gonna see those amazing giant fans above us, and then back to the awesome brick and the windows open. It's a warm day out, and it's very, very comfortable in here.
Yeah, it's nice.
Not bad. And we wanted to be able to drink beers within 10 feet of where they're being made, and having that open feel. So it turned out really well.
So what do you have? Like about 30 seats at the bar and table seating for 100?
Yeah, well,
I think it's rated at somewhere around 200-ish.
232 we can do in here.
Not outside.
Inside.
As far as the Norristown fire rating is.
We got about 2,500 square foot inside tasting room, another 3,000 square foot outside beer garden, which is open whenever the weather permits. Cornhole and
We
stuff
do
outside.
bands outside, so I understand we got to get this guy here to bring his band down.
Yeah.
Woo, go Commandos! Gonna be playing here soon. So I was just gonna ask about live music. You do live music. You also, while we were here, we saw people at the bar. They had food ordered right away. Food just brought right to them, right inside, right to their seat at the bar. That was awesome. And then you also have a huge food truck menu too, right?
Yeah, so
so-
we have food trucks Wednesday, Thursday, not Wednesday, I'm sorry,
Thursday
Thursday,
through
Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And it's a rotating menu, which is nice. We also have cornhole on Wednesday nights. We have Quizzo on Thursday nights. Live music, which is like acoustical live music, indoor or outdoor, depending on the weather.
Yeah, we usually
either
do one
Fridays
or
Saturdays.
two inside, and then we do bands outside.
Did you guys do an Oktoberfest last year?
Yes.
Did.
We missed that
How did you miss that?
because
Where were we?
we're idiots.
Well, we just brewed our Marzen beer, and we just brewed another Fest beer, so we're gonna have 2 different Oktoberfest beers to release.
we're in
on this
this year.
Oktoberfest.
Yeah, we're
So
gonna
I think
come.
I think
Our Martian was a huge success. We did it only on the small system last year, and it went like that. That was another one, I think. I wrote it up there, and the next day I was taking it down. But so we have that in the bigger batch, and he did a true Fest beer, which is, I believe, a little lighter than the Marsden's.
It's the more modern version of a Oktoberfest festival.
So are you going to ask them or am I going to ask them?
Uh-oh.
I'll probably
You
ask
can
them.
ask them, but I have a question I'm dying to know.
Go
I
ahead.
have to know. You've talked a couple times about the small system and the large system.
Yep.
How big is your small? How big is your large? What are we talking
So the
about?
smaller system, our pilot batch, is a 2-barrel system, and then our larger system is a 20-barrel system. So the 20-barrel system is feeding 7 40-barrel fermenters and a 40-barrel bright. We have another bright that's on order now. Should be here shortly, hopefully. So yeah, it gives us a good amount of capacity.
That's a
Yeah,
whole lot.
moving
That's
on
really
We
big.
have
Wow.
three 2-barrel fermenters for the little system.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, I had to know. Sorry.
That's okay.
Yeah.
So
Zach,
the good thing is we have 20 taps here, so that gives Zach, Mike, obviously our head brewer, the brewing team, license to come up. Obviously, the buy and buy, the
yeah,
the,
I
the
love
West Coast
I love the R&D
ale that he's
system
doing and stuff
Yeah.
like that.
because it's
So that R&D gives
Chance
us
to
a
play.
chance to fill
Yeah.
here, and then when it goes really well here, like this NFA was on that system earlier, and as I said, it went really well. Now it's in the bigger batch. We did an Italian Pils that we call Talking Hands. That went very well. I'm hoping that gets upgraded.
I got that right away.
This is not so bad. We should put it on the big system.
And our last brewmaster at Schmidt's is Adam Brosetti, and we asked him, "We're not offending anybody by doing this, are we?" And he goes, "No, not at all."
He was the first non-German brewmaster of Schmidt's, and he's very proud that he was the first Italian brewmaster of Schmidt's. So it's good.
It's good.
And it's funny. He will tell you too that he was the last one to lock the door in '87.
With our
and
father.
I threw away the key. Basically, he says. So.
And that's got to feel good that you were able to bring it back, right?
Oh, yeah.
Well, the neat part is, again, we wrote the business plan in '93, and if we would have done this in '93, the tide of big beer would have been like sacrilege. We would have been tossed out of the club before we even got in.
Right.
So I think there was a reason why it took so long, because now the way that OG's been received and respected, and people are absolutely loving it, back then it wouldn't have gotten that kind of reaction. So now it's retro, it's cool, and so many people are like, we had Schmidt's Day here where we had 25 old Schmidt's employees here.
Oh, they come
You know,
in. Give
they
me a
come-
Schmitz.
they
And they're
come
putting
in.
$20 on the table. And I'm like, unfortunately, it's not going to get you as many as it did back in the day. But
Yeah,
It's OG. You get Schmitz.
they come in with their old employee cards and stuff. So we
Oh, yeah, they
did,
gave
we
us
did a
some old-
Schmidt's Day. We had the Brewiana guys here from 9 to 12 with so much Schmidt's memorabilia.
That's
Very
awesome.
neat.
Rich Wagner, who's been a writer in Philadelphia, he wrote about all Pennsylvania beers, a lot on Schmidt. So he did a whole presentation that day, and my dad was here, and a bunch
it
of
was cool to see
old
the pride of it.
employees were here that my dad knew, and they were reminiscing. And, so it was fun. We're gonna do another one because he's got a lot of a lot of stuff on the Adam Scheit Brewery. So we're going to do a history day on the Adam Scheit Brewery since it's got
Seems like
time
you got to do that
for us.
every year.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think we just scheduled it for October. Or November.
Okay.
Okay, great.
I feel like I'm missing out. I can't believe I missed that.
Bad in
Well,
October.
it was
Side
fun.
guy?
And
You
what's
missed the
funny?
Brewiana
You know what's
guys?
I
funny?
have to pay more attention.
You know
better
what's
bring your
funny?
wallet.
On that day, we had so many older gentlemen here, old retirees. That was our biggest cash day we ever had because they were all cash, just throwing their 20s on the table. I mean, nowadays it's mostly credit card, but everyone was throwing their. I'm like, well, this is the biggest cash day we ever had.
So you need to film for me when people are trying to pay with their phone.
Yeah.
And get their reaction at the bar. Like,
What's going on over there?
who's he calling?
What's going on there? Put your phone down, would you?
So what I'm going to ask? Do you know what I'm going to ask?
Go ahead.
Do you know what I'm going to
I'm
ask?
just gonna quietly sip
I
this.
know
Go ahead.
because, but don't act like you don't want to know because you know you want to know.
I know. Go ahead.
Pumpkin beer. Are you gonna do a pumpkin beer? Look at that! Look at that face!
See, we like beer that tastes like beer,
Ah, come on!
so I can't say no.
Throw your 20 on the bar. Get out of here.
I can't say no. But we're more into traditional styles, and we like beer that tastes like beer. Again, we do have the smaller system, so I can't say no. We'll see how that goes.
So
Well, so he's not the one that has to chop and cook pumpkins and scrape stuff on it.
Doesn't
so he
necessarily
doesn't know.
have to have pumpkin
I
in
will-
it, as long as we go for the spice. It's easy.
I will throw a thing out there. So we were on an earlier podcast with, the Best Friends podcast, and our brewer was on, and they asked our brewer, so do you embrace lactose, the lactose? And our brewer said, no.
No.
So, the only lactose he's done was
I'm glad you mentioned that because I have pictures of your brewer embracing lactose.
So the only thing he did with lactose in it was a stout that we did over the holidays.
But he does want dried grape skin powder.
Of course.
It's the new lactose.
I wouldn't even say that. Lactose in a milk stout. I mean,
Oh, it's got its
That's
place.
where it was in a milk stout.
It's got its
that is-
place.
Not in
that's
the
traditional.
milkshake, a
Yeah,
milk stout.
absolutely.
It's got its place.
Yeah. So milk stout, wonderful.
Yes.
idea.
Yep.
But
And
other
that's
than
the
that,
only place he used it.
skip the lactose. I'm not against it.
Pumpkin beer.
Oh yeah, back to pumpkin beer.
Yeah.
We need to make pumpkin beer.
He could do it. He could do it.
Sure, I could.
Pumpkin spice beer. How about that?
Sure.
Yeah.
Are you guys big
we are both
pumpkin
big
fans?
We may or
of
may not have done
pumpkin
4
beers.
complete episodes on all pumpkin beers. We may or may not have tasted 36 pumpkin beers during one show.
Pumpkin.
So what was the favorite?
What was our favorite? Shaler? Shaler was up there, wasn't it?
You mean Shafley?
Oh, Shafley.
Shafley is it's just a good solid.
Pumpkin, as he mentioned, is one.
No, I don't like that.
You don't like that one. That's Southern tier, right?
It's too sweet for me.
I liked pumpkin. I don't like pumpkin anymore. I think it's changed over. Was it probably like 8 years now? It's the first time I had one.
I
but-
think what we
guys
came
ever do
out
a
of
pumpkin
that
beer at
4 episode arc was we appreciate a light touch. So when there's clove and cinnamon married with a good base,
Yep.
that's kind of what we like.
You like
not,
pumpkin-esque?
not whatever Starbucks uses in their lattes.
And when people say, we really honestly feel that there's a huge population of people hate pumpkin beers because they've only had bad pumpkin beers.
Yeah.
If you had a chance to taste, I mean, out of the 50 that we had just last year, if you tasted the top
36 on one show.
yeah,
It was ridiculous.
it was more than 36.
Are you guys saying that we make good beers, so you're gonna trust us to make a
pumpkin?
pumpkin beer?
Jump in there. And we may have
throw
a
our hat
couple
in the mix?
recipes. that
I
can help
challenge you.
you out. And we've got a couple small scale recipes that could probably
Mike
really
out
help
there,
you
is he
out.
listening?
If you get a good pumpkin beer and start with a solid traditional base and just add some pumpkin spice with a touch, it really does turn out very good. So,
We got a small break.
So Tom, we have a special gift for you.
okay.
For you, sir.
Well, thank you so much.
That is a milk pour of our Vienna Lager.
I'm actually excited to try one.
Well, that makes one of us.
Ah, come on.
Now,
you must
are
embrace the
supposed
milk
to chug
pour.
them, but
I
hate
will.
the
I will.
milk pour.
All right, so I drink it as fast as I can.
So you don't have to. There's some
want
tradition behind the milk pour.
Explain
But
the
if you want to,
tradition. Explain
feel
the
free
tradition.
while
Explain the
it's
tradition.
still a milk pour, let them chug it, and then we'll
Okay.
chat about it. There we go. Nice work, sir. Nice work.
That was actually kind of fun. I like
So,
that.
milk pour.
I did like that.
Milk pours.
Traditional Czechoslovakian side pour faucet.
Yes.
There's 3 pours. There's a crisp, a smooth, and a milko. And all 3 have their certain reasons for making that pour. The crisp is if you're having dinner, We're going to pour an 1.5-inch foam cap, stick the nozzle underneath, fill bright beer from the bottom. Foam cap protects that beer from oxidation while you're eating your dinner and holds the carbonation in there while you're enjoying your steak. You've had your dinner now, you're in the back of the brewery chatting with some friends, telling some stories, you're going to switch to a smooth pour. Smooth pour is the exact opposite. We're going to pour bright beer first, then put the foam cap on top. Pouring the bright beer first allows carbonation to dissipate because we're going to have a bunch of these. I don't want to be all burping and bloated. So then you come to the end of the night, you're still having some good conversations, some beers are still sitting around, you're not sure if you want another one. The last beer of the night is your Milko. Milko is going to be about 65% of that foam is going to turn back into beer. Unfortunately, we Americanize everything here, and over here we have to chug it. But it's not made to chug, it's actually made to sip and enjoy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I've heard it described. Now, okay. Viewing audience, you know I have been vehemently anti-milk pour.
Me too.
But I will say, I appreciate and enjoy the explanation, the application, and the differentiation of all three of those pours. And I've heard it described as almost like a nightcap / dessert
Yep, it's
for the
almost
evening.
So that you have a lot of the phenols that trying to escape through that foam cap, which captures them. So it's a little bit sweeter taste of the original beer.
Sweeter
that's
and
in there.
creamier,
It was
right?
very sweet. It was very
It's got a
creamy.
nice mouthfeel.
And I thought I would be just all gassy after that.
No,
Not at all.
It's smooth. Goes
Yeah,
down
not at
creamy.
all.
It's like dessert.
I hope
Don't
so.
knock it till you try it.
Nate, aren't you sharing a car home with Tom tonight? Okay,
knock
so
it
you
till
got
you
me.
try it.
You have made me tick back towards the middle on milk pours a little bit.
I like the history of it.
I do, I love
No
it.
one's ever explained in all the times that
It's
we've
not
talked about
just
them.
a badly poured beer you get at a frat house back in college.
Chug,
like
chug,
a lot of people think it is.
It's not really like a gimmick either. Like there's thought behind
Yes,
it.
there's a history behind that.
That's cool. That's cool. All right.
Okay. All right.
Time to crack cans, boys. What do we
Yes.
got up
All
first?
right. Let's start with the OG Pills. Again, family recipe dating back to 1860. Still brewed by the last master brewer Schmidt, who we're lucky enough to have on our team. And what can you say? It's history.
Was there any thought about using the original or any pieces of the original Schmidt's logo label in your process?
You'd have,
Or
to,
did you
you'd
want
have to talk to legal about that.
We would have loved to.
So your
we would have
lawyer
loved
has advised you not to mention
They
it.
cannot take away the family history. Could they make it very difficult? Sure.
Okay.
But they can't take away the family history.
Okay.
Fair
And
point.
that's what we're going on, the family history.
Fair point. And it's a fabulous family history.
Our father was a master brewer, our grandfather was a master brewer, our uncle was a master brewer, our great-grandfather was a master brewer, dating all the way back again to 1860.
So while we're dancing around tricky legal questions, I have another fun one, Tom.
Oh, boy.
How old were you when you had your first beer with all these master brewers in the family?
I think my mom used to put it in the
bottle.
A bottle. And,
There you go, guys.
I believe that was the age of 2, is what I just heard.
I believe I had my first Brewmeister when I was a freshman in high school.
And
I worked in the industry, and I was able to get it for half price. So he
Cheers, guys. Enjoy.
he called
This
me up.
one-
He called me up to get one, so I ordered one for him.
And
He
Zach,
still, I think he still has it today.
we're gonna pretend your dad's not here.
I don't know. Well, he was there. So.
You don't know?
I was
It
told,
had nothing to do with me.
I was told that an Irish car bomb was the way that beer always tasted, and I just sipped one and drank nasty curdledness, and then was told that that's the way all beer tasted, and don't drink any more beer after that. So
I certainly didn't tell you that.
Oh, that's like some type of aversion therapy there.
but that kept me from beer until I was the ripe age of 16.
Irish
There's been a lot of counseling.
delicious. Even when they're curdled, they're delicious. I love Irish.
I'm fairly certain there's video footage of you on Low Expectations drinking multiple Irish car bombs.
I have
Just a couple months ago.
I do enjoy a car bomber 10.
Yeah, I think that may have been my son's first recollection of beer is me drinking a car bomb while using the baby Bajorn. Wiping it off the top of his head. Sorry, dude.
And then Jay looked over to the whole family because there was like 9 of us there. This is down at the shore, and he goes. He looks over to his wife and he goes, "I'm sure this is going to get us on the cover of Parenting magazine."
In a good.
So yeah, as we said earlier, it's in the blood. It was in the blood. I mean,
That's awesome.
I got 50 cases of Schmidt's for graduating high school from my brother. So all was good.
Senior week.
Yeah.
Yeah, it worked out great. That's when my wife and I got married. I was working in Brooklyn at the distributorship. I was running the distributorship at the time. So I was coming down every weekend while my wife and I were planning our wedding, and I was able to get beer for about $3 a case. I upgraded because I always had cans, but I upgraded to the old bar bottles that came in the corrugated boxes.
We were going high end.
So I brought
Nothing but the best for
I
you.
brought all the Schmidts
graduation.
down, and I had them in my mom's house, in her back room, and she's like, "Why do you need so much beer?" I'm like, "Because it cost me $3, and I want to have enough and make sure I don't run out." Well,
You had me at $3.
we didn't run out, and I have pictures of him in a bucket brigade where we had our
Never
wedding.
saw a more efficient beer movement scenario.
They were moving beer with all his friends. Oh, that Jeep rolled up. Okay, that truck rolled up. Okay, that sedan rolled up, and they were all on their way down
And
the
during
shore.
that process, how many times did the words $3 pop up?
It's a beautiful thing.
How old were you when you had your first beer?
I don't know.
Come on.
I really don't know. I
That's
would have
really
to
young,
Stop
man.
playing Kool-Aid.
I would
He
have
was
to say,
2.
I
I got
got.
one more funny story too, if I don't mean to.
Oh, go ahead.
So when I was in college, we go down. My dad, freshman year, my dad, he all of a sudden reaches out for my hand, and in his hand is about $100 and a business card. So I look at it, and after they left, because obviously he was doing that because he was with my stepmom, and she
On the
she didn't want
QT,
to see
sure,
that. So-
sure, yeah.
So I'm looking, I'm like, oh, the business card. Later, my dad calls me. He goes, just so you know, that business card. He goes, I set it up. He goes, you can buy pallets of beer at this distributorship in Virginia. I went to Lynchburg College, and it'll be $3.50 a case for you. So
Setting
I'm
them up
like-
for success.
I'm like, I became the most popular freshman ever because I'm like, we just gotta go
What
down
was
and
your
buy
dad's
it.
name? What was your dad's name?
Frederick.
To Frederick.
So
Frederick.
the best part of that story is
What? There gets better?
there is better. So at the time in Lynchburg, you were allowed to have parties, but just no
Oh
kegs.
yeah, you're okay. You're
So he calls up my dad and says, "Hey, Dad, what do you think you're sending me down a beer truck?" Next thing you know, 500 cases show up at the dorm, and they have a party of all 4 floors like you've never seen, with the dean of students walking around. There has to be kegs. There can't be this many
we told
cans.
everyone, keep that last can in your hand.
500
we
cases.
have
You
kegs,
need to keep the last
but
can.
we're not allowed to have kegs on campus, and we will just fill your can. And the RAs are running around saying, "There's got to be kegs here." And it was all everyone had cans.
And then I got dropped off at college, and he did the same handshake, and there was cash in it and everything, and I went, "Where's my business card?"
You're a little late, but
I
you
want
got it now.
$3.50 a
You got it
case.
now. You got it now.
It's a different world, son.
You failed me.
Do as I say, not as I do.
Wow.
So I started working at a golf course, bar, restaurant at 14, and
It had to be there then.
that was definitely where golfers would buy a case, golf, and leave 3 beers in the golf cart. So when you had to clean out the golf carts every night,
you go.
you would get beers, all kinds of other stuff. They would leave all kinds of things
So
in their
14.
golf
And
carts.
I'm sure
I would say-
when they hit a hole in one, you had to be given a beer.
Oh man, it was just so much stuff. So I would say at about 14, would be when it just kicked into high gear.
Oh, you were a casual drinker from
Casual up to 14, then it kicked the high gear.
I'll tell you stories later.
off camera.
So again, when I was young, when we were young, Schmidt's used to have what they called Beer World on the mainland of Wildwood, down the shore. So it was built by my grandfather, and they would have bottlers weekend, canners weekend, drivers weekend, brewers weekend. They'd all get a weekend down the shore. So when we were younger, we'd go down there. So you want to talk about your first beer? As we were younger, there was a keg on every other hole.
Oh, yeah, everywhere.
So we would hop on the bikes and just boogie down all the holes to see where the kegs were.
Where's Jacob?
They
Oh,
changed.
he's out riding his bike.
They changed which holes they were on. So we'd ride our bikes frantically trying to figure out where the kegs were and be like, woo.
Man, that kid loves riding bikes.
Especially,
You see Jake
especially in the woods.
catering at every hole.
Yes.
So concerned about his health. So athletic.
Very athletic.
That was all awesome. Thank you very much for that.
That OG Pils.
Yeah, it's just.
It's the second time I've had it tonight, and it goes down way too easy.
I'd like to say it's hard
It's
to drink,
really
but
fantastic.
Crushable.
And I really like, it's just like Schmidt's. I can't tell you it was like Schmidt's because I never had Schmidt's.
I never had Schmidt's either. But if Schmidt's was like
if
that,
Schmidt's
I
was
would have
that
drank
good,
it.
It tells. I know they've been around for a long time.
I would have
That's
been
a good
that
beer.
guy's best friend in college.
Really, really good.
Without a doubt.
Definitely better than stuff we used to have when
I went-
Schaefer and all the other junk.
At one point in time, 3 out of every 4 draft beers was poured
Right,
in Philly.
75%.
Was a Schmidt's beer.
I remember seeing that statistic.
And when I worked for them, I worked for their distributorship up in Brooklyn, New York, and we were the second draft beer in Manhattan behind Budweiser at the time.
Only distributed in 14 states.
Plus, we had McSorley's Ale House, and we supplied McSorley's Ale House with Prior Double Dark and McSorley's Cream Ale. They just called it light and dark there,
Yeah.
but those were Schmidt brands at the
Those
time.
were Schmidt
Prior
beers.
Double
That was the
Dark.
best thing when you go there with a New
Prior Double
Yorker.
Dark came
And they'd be
right
like, oh,
from-
this beer is
from
great.
New
I'm
York.
like,
No
brewed in Philly.
Funny story about that. Funny
Rootin'
story
Philly,
about
buddy.
that. I had a friend call me up. He's like, Rick, we're going down to the McSorley's Ale House tonight. You won't believe this place. I'm like, oh, okay. And I know it's my biggest account. So I go walking down. We go in there, and I mean, they serve everything in these 10-ounce mugs. It's about 5 ounces of beer and 5 ounces of foam, and you order like 10 dark and 10 light, and they slide them across the table at you, and you're just like drinking them. And then
You have to order in even numbers.
all the fraternities, local fraternities like Columbus and all the schools in that area are all New York U and everything. They're in there and they're doing like all these like fraternity pranks. And they got to sit there and they got to have like 5 in this hand, 5 in this hand, and they're chugging
it's
them
like
and it's
waterfall.
going down. It's off the
Yeah,
bridge of their
waterfall.
nose.
It's not-
And
it's
then
not easy.
they had this hot mustard, and you had to take spoonfuls of the hot mustard and then chug the beer. And so I get there, my friend's like, "You're not going to believe this
This
place.
guy.
They make this beer in the basement." I'm like, "Oh, do they?" I said, "Look,"
You don't say.
I said, "I don't want to burst your bubble, but this is our biggest account. My driver is here every week with 300 barrels, 150 each of the light and the dark, every single week." He was like, "No." I'm like, "They don't make it in the basement?" I'm like, "No, they don't."
It comes from the basement. That's where they tap the keg.
So,
This guy. This guy's had a pretty good life. Sipping
So,
on that
folks,
right now.
a small pause because the bartender had to go pour some beers.
Owner bartender.
Slash
Owner
Slash
bartender.
The history's awesome. That's our favorite, my absolute favorite.
well, it's funny. When we first started talking, when we first started this whole thing, my brother's like, "The history's going to sell." And I'm like, "I don't know. I didn't. I was wrong, 100% wrong. But I didn't think the history would sell." Now I realize because retro is so big.
People came in and sipped Schmidt's, and they went, "This reminds me of stealing my dad's beer out of the fridge," or
Oh,
this.
stories.
It was just the
Stories people
stories
tell
that
us.
we heard of, like,
Oh,
this
my dad
reminds
used to send me
of-
down
yeah.
to get it out of the fridge, and I would open it and drink half of it before I handed it to him, But we had a guy came in with his dad. He had a old Schmidt shirt on, his old Schmidt's beat up baseball cap, and he comes in and he goes, "I'm here with my dad." His dad was probably 85, 90 years old, and he goes, we had to come here because we grew up right down in that Fishtown area in the shadow of the brewery. And in '87, when they started tearing it down, he goes, "My dad, who's here right now, lifted me over the construction fence so I can grab some of the bricks as they were pulling the building down." He goes, "We still have those bricks today."
No.
And I told him, I said, "I'd love to put those bricks in here." He goes, "They mean too much to my family. I couldn't part with them. Even though you give them back to me, I just couldn't part with them, and if anything happened to them." And I understood. But we got a lot of people that do that. We have a lot of the stuff in this cabinet over here is stuff that I've collected and we've collected over the years. A lot of it is when people have brought into us. "Here, I want you to have this. My granddad did this."
We can talk about the neon light that's not lit up but is on top of that right there, which I stole and took to college, and
It still works.
And he went, "That thing's never coming back." And
Yeah,
then
got it back and it's
somehow
still
4
working.
years later, I dropped it back off with him.
So Next up.
All right, moving
what's
on.
the next can, buddy?
I think we'll have to go. We're going to light to dark here, you know, lagers. We'll go with our Vienna Lager.
Yeah.
One of my favorites. Seem to always come back to this beer.
It's always been one of my favorites.
Yeah.
I am excited for the Vienna. I did not have the Vienna yet because I wanted to try it first here.
Nor did I.
So, yeah,
Yeah.
I'm excited for the Vienna.
Stoked.
You really can't go wrong.
Yeah, this
with
is
a
one
good
of my
Vienna.
favorites. We also have it on the Czech slow pour up at the tap. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there's nothing like. I think Vienna is probably the best foam. I just question myself though, because Schwarzbier is
Did we
like
give him was it
also
the
some
Vienna
of the
foam
best
that we gave
foam.
him? Yeah, that was the Vienna.
There's
pour,
nothing
yeah.
like
Totally different.
just that first little sip off the top of a Vienna that is mainly foam with a little bit of beer mixed in. It's one of my favorite things in the brewery.
I poured one too many.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers, guys.
Beautiful. Look at that.
Maybe it's for the film, the camera guy.
One for you, sir.
In the mix, does not
Cheers.
hate lager.
So Nate from In the Mix, Light and Sound, just dropped everything through his headphones.
All that, huh?
He was quick.
Don't worry, it's in the budget. It's fine.
He is a lager man through
There
and
you
through.
go. I knew I liked him when he walked
Yeah,
in the door.
let's talk about kind of like the sensibility of, as I'm looking at your menu, this is your first time here. This is probably my 5th time that I've been back here, and your menu kind of remains consistent as far as style that's available, and you guys tend towards the traditional. Is that purpose? Like, is that your jam? Is that your identity? Is that
That is.
who you
That's,
guys
I
are?
think that's what we do best. That's what we enjoy best, for sure.
Yeah.
We have our 8 cores, which is the OG Pills, Vienna Lager, Helles Lager. We have the Pig Dog, which is our session IPA. Walking on Clouds, which is our hazy New England IPA. Cut Loose, which is our double IPA. Uncle Jerry's Wheat, which is our wit beer. What am I missing here? Stony Creek, which is our East Coast IPA. And I think that's about it.
Yeah, that would be good.
Are you?
That's 8, yeah.
Are you gonna let him get away with just throwing Pig Dog out there and not asking any follow-up questions?
The Pig Dog. We'll try that
Big
one
Dog
next.
comes next, sir. Did you not see the
Am
can?
I jumping the gun?
Not at all, not at all. So Pig
We won't
Dog.
drink it, but you gotta explain that.
So Pig Dog is our session IPA. I would like to have called it Surf Session IPA because we did this along with the Philadelphia Surf Crew. Our brewer Mike came to us from Hawaii, where he was head brewer for Honolulu Brew Works, and he had a Surf Session IPA there, and he was like,
Shocking.
the same thing.
Shocking.
I don't know why you'd have that in
Honolulu
Hawaii.
Brewery had a surf session.
That doesn't
Kidding
make
me?
any sense.
So he comes out with a name called Pig Dog, and at first I was like, what the hell are you
We
talking
had
about,
no
Pig Dog?
idea it was a surfing term.
So Pig Dog is a surfing term, which was developed on pipeline in Hawaii. So when they are grabbing the edge of their board, sticking their hind side into the wave, and drawing their hand back, trying to slow down to catch that tube, that's called pig dogging.
Nice.
So we
Did you
made
know that?
we made this for the
I know a
Philadelphia
little.
Surf Crew,
I know a little bit.
just enough to get yourself in trouble.
Right, but it goes perfectly with the Surf Crew. Now,
So
one
the
thing I
Endless
did not-
Summer label,
Yeah.
That's an awesome label. I love that.
and
a lot.
that is our session IPA.
Now,
You need to see Endless Summer.
You got it. Yeah.
but let's talk a little bit about their label design. I love your.
If you've actually seen the movie, and this came, from my brother, being very creative that he is, in search of the perfect haze. The movie actually said the perfect wave.
Yeah. Okay.
It's a great movie. You would really appreciate it.
Yeah, it's a good movie.
Mike, I just wanted to comment on your label design real quick because it's super clean.
Yep.
As soon as you see those cans on the shelf, you know who it is.
Yep.
We were going with that from the start.
It works.
We were going with it.
100%.
The one thing that bothered me when I went in to look for beer is I picked up a can. I'm turning. I'm like, I don't know what I'm buying. I don't know. It was an IPA. Who's it from? Sometimes I couldn't tell.
Did it say IPA?
It probably
may
did say IPA.
It may have.
So one thing that we learned, which I'll never forget, our good friend Doug from Well Crafted taught us that they had to redesign their cans because when they're on a shelf in distribution, when they're in the case.
Especially if it's a high case.
Oh yeah.
If you're in the case, nobody sees what's below that case.
Oh, yeah.
So your label has to cater to the case line.
Oh, yeah.
Is that what he called it? The case line.
Yeah, the tray line.
Yeah.
Case tray.
Tray line, yeah.
So
Ours,
had to be
ours
from there.
unfortunately, are just a little. We used to be a little higher, but I noticed some of the breweries went lower where they sort of bring it down and cut it here, but then you go to pick them up and the 4-packs are falling out.
There's a little blue pill for that.
I wouldn't know.
Moving on, we'll go to Pig Dog.
Pig Dog.
Pig Dog it is.
Which is another good name about good thing about the name of this beer is once you've had a few, you just go like, what beer do you want next? You go, Pig Dog. Everyone just yells.
This has been one of Zach's favorites since day one.
Oh yes,
So I
it
saw
has been.
the Philly Surf Society.
Yeah.
What is that?
So Philadelphia has a surfing club of about 2,000 members.
Which we were very surprised.
In Philadelphia.
We weren't surprised at all.
Susquehanna.
Like the Schuylkill?
No, we were,
No.
we were only surprised not that they exist. It was only surprised at how many members they had.
Yeah, that's a lot.
And what they actually did, and they do some very, very, very good things.
They do a bunch of beach cleanups. They teach underage children or underprivileged children how to surf, and we want to be part of that. So a portion of the sales of Pig Dog goes back to the Philadelphia Surf Crew, encouraging
They
their.
clean up a lot of beaches and waterways and stuff
Cheers,
like
guys.
that. So they're doing a lot of good things.
Cheers.
This
The
smells
nose on this is fantastic.
So this is
Yeah.
our session IPA, 4.5%. So this is a good summer beer. You can drink this and not fall off the surfboard.
And
after a few.
did that collaboration happen because of Mike and his surfing connection from Hawaii, or how'd that come about?
That did not. That collaboration came back from some of our builders.
Builders here.
Yeah.
Was in
He was
that
a member
club.
of
He's
that
like, "You want to
club."
do a beer from?" I was like, "Hell yeah!"
And we're really happy with this version of Pig Dog. Mike and I, obviously, on all these beers, we've gotten them there. We're just kind of turning the screws on all of them, and we went ahead and dry hopped this one a little bit earlier than we normally do. This is a double dry hop session, and that first one is at high Krausen, and we went at very high Krausen. And we thought that it really brings out those kind of tropical fruit notes. Before we were dumping all this hop into it, and you were saying this is great on the nose, and it was still a great beer to drink. It was just kind of flat on the nose, and we were losing a ton of that aroma. So just like all it is a couple days, and we added that hop just a couple days earlier, and it really has made all the difference, and we are really proud of this batch. This batch
Slight
is
tweaks.
really,
So
really
I don't know about you, but it's like juicy fruit gum.
It's really good.
Like
That's a good description. I didn't
I
think of that, but
love-
as soon as you said that,
I love. I'm a unapologetic session fan. Like this style gets a lot of hate from people.
Yeah.
But when it's hot outside and it's in the summer,
And you're gonna be having a
I
bunch.
want my IPA, but I don't want to bang away 8%ers all day.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, I'm taking some of this home, not home, to the lake for the boat.
There you go. Yeah. It's a great
when
boat
we're
Boat
out
beer.
there, when we're floating, that's definitely
It's going to be on the green side or the red side?
green. It's green.
float around in circles all day long. So I have to tell you, I had to confirm it with my mother, and my mother confirmed it. So,
So you had
When-
beer at 10.
probably even younger.
That was that Christmas incident.
So my mom
Not allowed to
always
talk
told
about
me, my mom always told me these stories, and I can't even remember. I was so young, I can't remember it. But her father, so my pop, we would have to. He was from Philadelphia. They lived in a row home in Philly. And whenever we went to visit, it was always the grandkids' job to go get him a beer from the fridge and bring it to him. Go get him a
Always
beer
Schmidt.
from the fridge and bring it.
That is where most of us got our first taste.
And the only beer he drank, and I had to confirm it to make certain,
That's
was
great.
Schmidt. So that was
Cheers.
what I always delivered.
Gotcha.
That's what I
So
always
your first
delivered.
taste was on step number 4.
Before
Cracking that open.
Before I
And
could
your
even
grandpa
remember.
saying, "Why is it open?" You're like, "Oh."
We had to run to the kitchen.
I was helping. I was helping you out.
We had the kitchen in the back. The fridge was on the right. You had to grab it and then run it back up. It was on his
Awesome,
couch.
awesome.
Yeah. Yep. He was smoking his pipe all the time, and I would have to bring him his. Now I remember Schmidt's.
I'm glad we could rekindle that memory.
That is pretty awesome.
That is
So
awesome.
I was
That's
like
very awesome.
4, 5, 6 years old.
Oh, now we know when it started, huh?
That's why even though you never had a Schmidt's, when you tried it earlier
you
before
loved
the
it.
show, you went, "That is Schmidt's."
I remember that.
This reminds me. This is like
I
that's
know
a
this.
memory. It really is.
So we talked about the fact that you guys did an Oktoberfest. You did what'd you call it? Schmidt's Day? Schmidt's?
Yeah, we had Schmidt's Day. We were doing Adam's
So
Day.
are you
Mystery Day.
like, is events something you're going to focus on or do focus on? Do you like to have like events? Is that a thing?
Yeah, we don't. I mean, it's not something we focus on, but if we can have something that brings people in and have interest in it and drink some beer, we're all about
Yeah,
it.
I mean, we're going to do Oktoberfest.
And when is that going to be? Because I'd love for you to look right at that camera right there and let people know.
Third, right? September 23rd,
Let people know.
23rd-ish.
24th, I think, 25th. Whatever
Put
that
him-
Friday is.
I'll look on the
calendar.
Put you on
Whatever
the
that
spot?
Friday is.
I can tell you that their
And we
website.
we do a food truck that day. He's the
The Austrian guy?
yes.
Oh,
my
Flying-
God.
Flying Dutchman.
He's amazing.
Flying Dutchman.
Oh yeah.
In a good way.
He's fun.
Yeah, he's good.
Oh, he's awesome.
all he does is
he
dance
comes
and
here a lot.
cook.
He's actually here. He's here tomorrow night.
This is what I believe.
He's here tomorrow night.
So their website, incredibly informative and very easy. Like just boom, the information's right there in front of you. You want to know what's happened the whole week? It's right there.
And I'm telling you right now,
Very clear.
as soon as you guys can give me a locked on date, one of the things we at Low X do is we do DDEs. They're called designated drinking events. Oktoberfest Events
There it
is
is.
going to be definitely
Bring it
a
on.
designated drinking event for our whole crew. So we'll roll in here with anywhere between, because they're not, it's low expectations. You never know what you're getting.
Could be
Anywhere
5.
between 20 and 50 maniacs will descend on this place like locusts, and we'll eat and
We
drink
appreciate
everything.
that
Yeah,
very, very much.
absolutely.
Yeah, we've got like we said, the 2 different styles of fest beer going on. The more modern fest beer, the more old school Marzen. So any and all maniacs you want to bring, I'm sure we
long as you
will
wear
make a
your
beer
Hershey,
that they
you
will
guys are
enjoy.
ready.
Yes, you could.
And Zach said he's brewing a pumpkin beer this year. So
Yeah, apparently.
Super excited. Low X
Jay, I'll have the hat
the
on,
Low
but Jay,
X collab pumpkin beer.
pumpkin beer.
Jay will be his leader.
Zach's in the back like, no.
Well, that way, if it's bad, it's our fault.
Right, you can always blame it
Yeah.
on us.
Yeah.
I have low
If
expectations.
everyone has low expectations about it,
we're
it'll be
good.
all right.
There's a method to our madness.
There you go. That would be our collab with you guys. Low expectations. Is
All right. Let's move on to the Walking on Clouds. This is going to be like a
Last beer.
10-hour episode.
But we'll tell you what, Nate from In the Mix is an amazing editor. He will edit up, and what always happens when we record,
60 minutes.
it usually turns into 2 episodes. There's a first part and a second part because we
This
have
one's
fun
going to be a
talking.
4 or 5 part.
So again, we're super proud. Walking on Clouds and OG Pills are our best-selling beers. We can tell the average age in the tap room that night by what sold more. If it's the OG Pills, obviously a little older age.
Younger.
It's the Walking on Clouds, obviously a little bit younger. Walking on Clouds is formulated by Mike, our master brewer, and he's done an incredible job on all the beers that he's made.
This is his first beer.
But he's super happy with this one. This is the one he came out of the gate with, and it's a great New England hazy IPA.
Can't wait. So while you're pouring, I've heard you guys talk about Mike a lot tonight. Can you give me just like the Reader's Digest version? Where did Mike grow up at?
Yeah, we got very lucky. So Mike was having his first baby about the first time. Well, his wife was having the first baby, not Mike. The first,
real special guy.
the first time that we were doing our interviews, and he was moving back from Hawaii to be closer to family with the first child. About the same time we were doing interviews, and thank gosh we got hold of his resume, brought him in, and we had already had Adam Rossetti on our team at that point in time, and we all sat down and were like, "This is the man."
He
So
was
we
working for Forgotten Boardwalk during the pandemic.
Okay.
So he moved back and he took a job. Obviously, it was hard to find jobs during the pandemic, so he just took a job at Forgotten Boardwalk, but he was the head brewer out of Honolulu Brewing.
And
Good-
his
good
wife
thing you got out of
his
there.
wife had worked with you previously. So
Yeah,
all
very
that-
very interesting.
This
It's like-
is
yeah.
Walking on Clouds.
So you should get a lot of mango, grapefruit, passion fruit on the tail end of that.
Single hazy, 7%. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Yes, sir, all day long.
Whoa,
The nose on that's ridiculous.
mango.
way too smooth.
Super,
This is a
super,
dangerous beer.
super balanced, which is what
That's
we like
dangerous.
about it.
Yeah.
That's
You know-
one of those where, like the triple that I love to refer to, the one that says, "We told you this would happen." That's a perfect name for a triple. This is also like that. That goes down too easy.
Yeah.
I'll say it
fantastic.
again. Mike's done a bang up job on every beer that he's brewed. We're super happy with what the brew team has done, and this one's been a home run.
Yeah, it has been. So interesting enough with Mike. So I actually worked at a company called E-Money Advisor, where his wife worked. Yeah, we never talked about brewing. I knew who she was, and I leave the company to start my brewery with my brothers. And my friend calls me up and said, "Hey, just want to let you know. Do you remember Julie who worked at E-Money?" And I'm like, "Yeah, she was on the developing team." And he goes, "Well, her husband's a brewer, and they're moving back from Hawaii." He goes, "I'm just throwing it out there if you need a brewer," and that's how we came up with his resume. And
Never burn any bridges, anybody.
so it worked out great. And
Excuse me, I must pour
interesting,
beer.
A funny story. Interesting. After we hired him, my friend who worked at E-Money with me, he goes, "Where do I send the invoice? I heard you hired Mark." I'm like, "Mike." I'm like, "What?" Wait a minute, I never asked you to.
There was no agreed to finder's
Yeah,
fee.
and then he goes, "No, I'm just kidding." So I knew he was just kidding. So I said, "Well, I just opened a brewery, so obviously I can only pay you in beer." So
$3 a case.
he goes, "Okay, I'll be
case."
down." So he goes, "You do know I was kidding." I'm like, "Yeah, I never asked you to find me a brewer, but
Yeah, but
you know,
sometimes
you did,
stuff
so
is
thank
just
you."
kind of like meant to happen.
Yeah.
I'm like a big believer in that.
Yeah,
Like,
he's been a recruiter
Yeah,
his
like
whole life.
so we saw this building originally, and we looked and looked and looked for all these other buildings, and eventually it worked out, and we came in here. And it wasn't until after we got into this building that the township of Norristown let us know that there has not been a brewery in Norristown since the Adam Schmidt's brewery had closed down. And right at that point, it was kind of like,
you're
like
just
this
taking it
ball's
right
rolling.
back.
Like we are bringing it back. We're bringing it back to Norristown. So just these things all happen for a reason. And
It's awesome.
That's fantastic.
So this entire episode came about when I bumped into Zach at the Lansdale Beer Fest, and I was like, "Dude, I want to come. I'm a huge fan of the brewery. Can we do an episode there?" And he's like, "Yeah, come in." And
We told him, "Wait, what are you crazy? Who's this guy?"
yeah. He was a skeptic, but I think I won him over because he's $3 a case. That's all you need to know about this guy. I'm gonna get a shirt made, $3 a case. You need to come to this place and appreciate the history of how beer evolved, not only in Philly but in the nation, because this place was a powerhouse. Like 75% of the beer in
Philadelphia.
in Philadelphia came out of their brewery, Granddad's Brewery.
Granddad's Brewery.
But at the same time, it's now a whole different beast.
Well, it's not, but it is,
Yes.
because
New and old.
you can reach back and drink all those
Oh, you
beautiful
can totally
traditional
get
styles,
you.
but then they're playing with the phantasm. They're playing with the yeast. They're playing. This madman on the R&D system is cranking out beautiful stuff.
I thought he was gonna say playing with pumpkin because I'm
no pumpkin yet, no
here
pumpkin
we
yet.
go again.
I've scarred you, haven't I?
The one that I've been
Hello,
tossing
yeah,
back
Mike. We got to make a pumpkin beer tomorrow. Yeah, tomorrow.
We'll work on that. But the favorite that we haven't talked about that I really just blew my mind here was a Dunkelweiss, and I love a good Dunkel. It was the chocolate coconut Dunkel.
Yeah.
So a Dunkel with adjuncts. So you've got the traditional Dunkel, but then some delicious adjuncts that were just absolutely fantastic. I loved it.
And my favorite of the night was the Schwartz. I love the Schwartz. It was beautiful.
Yeah.
So we had done another beer fest in Ardmore, and we had brought the Schwartz beer, and I believe it was 97. Felt like 102.
Oh, so hot that day. That's right.
And I would pour this beer for people, and they'd be like, I don't I don't know if I want that. And I had to convince every beer that I poured. I had to convince the people to be like, no, please, just still drink it. Just still drink it first. And it is so light, and it has these like roasty, smoky notes, but they're just notes on this delicate light beer, and it's really beautiful. And Mike again did a great job with that one as well.
Yeah, it's dry enough.
Yeah, so that one actually we're canning it, so it's going to be the name.
You should. Yeah.
The name is Midnight in the Priory, and it's a little play on words because Prior Double Dark was made by Adam Schmidt's in Brooklyn, in Norristown, right here. Okay. So we wanted to put that prior name in there. So it's Midnight at the Priory.
And as a lapsed Catholic and host of the show, it's my job to make a horrible joke, and that's when I thought a nun lost her wings.
That'd work.
Every time a can cracks, a nun loses her wings.
Every can that's open, a nun loses her wings. There you go. I like it.
I think we have wrung everything we can out of these
really
guys.
have.
You guys have been amazing. Amazing hosts. We love the space. Outside, inside, 20-some taps, traditional, new beers, every single thing you could possibly imagine on the face of the earth, and high quality. They're keeping the family name right up here. Thank you, guys. We appreciate you.
Thank you.
Thank you
Pleasure,
so
man.
much.
Thank you guys for
very
coming.
much.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Thank you very much.
Empty Milko. Empty Milko.
Ladies and
We got more.
gentlemen, as soon as you can, run out to Von C, hang out, drink a ton of beer, order their beer. They're also, you guys distribute, so you can be found all over the place.
Yeah.
Distributing all New Jersey and all PA. Yeah.
So check them out, and stay tuned. There is a designated drinking event at this spot
There we go.
coming our way soon.
Look at the events, cornhole tournaments.
Yes.
And a pumpkin beer coming.
That's not on the calendar. You're going to make it very tough for us tomorrow with Mike, I think, if he's watching.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again, the
Cheers,
beer was
guys.
great, and us two, we're not. Cheers.
Thank you. Good night.
Thank you very
Expectations
much.
were low, but you guys kicked butt.
Thank you very much.